Committee of the whole meeting to order. And Mrs. Laser, would you do a roll call, please?
Mrs. Elder.
Here.
Mr. Hauser.
Here.
Mrs. Kozar.
Here.
Dr. Loftus.
Here.
Dr. Moffa.
Here.
Mr. Mason.
Here.
Mr. Palmer.
Here.
Dr. George.
Here.
Mrs.
Here. Thank you, Mrs. Laser. Solicitors report, Mr. Nichols. No, I didn't. I will announce to the public that we did hold an executive session at 6:30 this evening.
That was
That's your receipt.
no.
That was his report he reminded me to announce. Thank you. Legislative report, Dr. Laughlin.
I do have three things. They are called memos for a bill, so they're not quite a bill yet, but they do deal with things that would be interested in. The first one's HCO 1204. It's the cyber charter school. It deals with revised funding. It allows schools to make additional deductions for tax collection, library, health, and food service costs, as well as costs of operating the district's own cyber or online program. So that would be excellent to change the funding with that. This proposal also would require cyber charter schools to complete an annual audit to determine the actual cost of operation and require reconciliation at the end of the school year to return any overpayments to school districts. Another bill, 1088, is very similar with that, but also adds that the cyber charter would abide by the same fund balance caps that the school districts have. And then a third bill, the 1013 allows school districts, it would allow school districts to furlough employees for economic reasons, and it would not limit the school district's ability to furlough based upon seniority. It would allow the school district to base decisions on an employee performance and qualifications. So those are the three things.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Thank you very much. Anything for Dr. Laughlin this evening? Okay. The student report will be held at the next week at the regular meeting, so we'll hear from the students then. And I'm going to introduce Mr. Mike Karenka, and we're going to talk about school emergency management preparedness plan. Mr. Karenka, Charleston.
And I'll do a little preface to the presentation. Back in 2008, when I started in the district, probably one of the first people I met, maybe not the first, but certainly well within the beginning months, was Pete Tenerovich, who is the emergency management coordinator at Unity Township. And he's going to talk about what he has done with working with the district since far before I arrived here in the district. And Mike Gremka, in his new position, is coordinator of safety and security in the district, so he's going to be adding some comments and thoughts afterwards. So.
Okay, thank you. I welcome any opportunity to speak about school safety. It's been a priority of mine in emergency management for a number of years. To take you back to day one in Greater Latrobe, it was on September 11, 2001. During that morning, I made a phone call to then Superintendent Dr. Stavitsky and asked him how things were going at the school. He was wrestling with some issues of parents calling for whether they should come and get their children, whether they should dismiss them early, or what they should do that day. So we had a discussion over the phone. There was a few people in the room with him. We devised a plan, and that's what they followed that day. A few days later, he called me back and said, how about coming in and sitting down for an hour or two, and let's talk about pre-planning for certain instances. And that's how we got started in Greater Latrobe. It's been an ongoing issue with the school district. The support of the administration then and now has been fantastic. We have accomplished a lot with the training that's involved in what we need to do. Our mission when we started was to establish incident management teams in each one of the schools. These teams would effectively direct and control any incident that happened in the school. They would follow national standards. First one being ICS, Incident Command System. The second one being NIMS, the National Incident Management System. These management teams would be, upon activation, would move to a predetermined site at the school, and they would discuss on how to handle the incident at hand. Also, if needed, we would establish an emergency operations center either at the administration building or at a mobile site. We could do either one of those two. In the emergency operations center, through ICS, there is a structure set up for command. You have an incident commander, a public information officer, an operations section, planning section, logistics section, and finance section. Each one of these positions would be filled in each one of the locations. When you do this incident command system is something that's used by everyone else out there. I mean, the fire departments, the emergency medical service, police officers, everyone is working under the same structure. So no matter how far this incident progressed, whether it stayed at the local level, county level, state level, federal level, everything would be seamless as we moved up the chain because they would be operating under the same system. Probably the biggest issue and the biggest thing we had to overcome was communication. Communication makes everything work. We all know that. If you don't have the proper communication, and we've done an excellent job in doing the communication with the staff, with the incident management teams in the school, to the students, to the parents, and also to the general public. We're getting the information out rather quickly here at Greater Latrobe. We were able, through a grant a few years back, to purchase 800 megahertz radios. What these radios do is tie us directly in with the responding agencies out there, police, EMS, and fire department. We also have our own frequency for school districts. This was a big plus because if something happens in one of the schools right now, I pick up a radio and I call and the principal answers and tells me what's going on.
I'll step in and say this. Volunteer firefighters sometimes come to our schools for false alarms. When they see our radios, oftentimes they're jealous of the radios that we have. It's top notch, but also from a principal standpoint allows me to communicate with downtown if I have an issue, if my phones are out. It allows me to communicate with all of the other schools. So from Bagley, I can talk to Becky at Mountain View, or Becky can talk to me if she has an issue. We do not have to worry about phones or cell service. I don't want to let that go without talking about how important that is, not just in an incident like this, but even on a daily basis. Mrs. Swigert, my phones are out at Bagley. I have no way to communicate with you, and my cell phone doesn't work because I'm not under the age of 12. If I was under the age of 12, it would work perfectly.
What prompted the issues with the radios and going after the grant is in the first place that we had issues with calling Mountain View. That is an area, all of you know, if you want to go over top of that little whatever there's an issue there with cell phone service and that. So that was why we pursued the grant and we got the money to do that. The NIMS and ICS, what the ICS does is set up the command structure. NIMS, the National Incident Management System, details the functions of every person on the staff. There are pre-planned chart checklists that are available that each one of the positions have and tell you and guide you through what you should be doing. So from that process, we started to have tabletop drills at each one of the schools. The team was put in place at each one of the schools. We started to have the tabletops. We went through the entire district. Everybody was on board with that. A few years ago, the administration granted us entire in-service day for emergency management training. We had some code red drills at the schools during the morning. In the afternoon, we had an evacuation drill with the teachers. The teachers actually walked the evacuation route. They were placed on buses, and they were bused to an off-site location to figure out so they knew ahead of time what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, and what their responsibilities were. In 2010, our last major function was a drill called Campus Shield. It was held at the senior high, which involved multi-agency, fire departments, police departments, Westmoreland County Department of Public Safety, who I might add has been a terrific partner with us through all of this. They do a lot of the planning for the drills, come up with the scenarios, and really help us. They've been a driving force behind this. We had a very excellent drill at the senior high. After that, we had a short critique after that, and after action report was issued to the school district from the county because we had evaluators who came in from other areas telling them these are your strong points, these are a few of the places where you need some work done. And that pretty much brings you up to date to where we are right now. But we've been working on this for a number of years, and again, I commend the cooperation that I get from the administration and all the principals in all the schools. They know me, I know them, and they know I'm going to be calling them if I get a call that something's going on in one of the schools. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Can I take you to the next step? And then you can ask us both questions at the same time. I think anytime there's an incident in our country, like there was a few months ago, the first question that's asked is, what are you doing? But I think Pete has answered the question of what have we done? And I really think that there's been a ton of work that has gone into what do we do in an incident like that. And not only is it just a plan, but it's also the tabletop exercises that we've done as administrators. It's the drills that we do with our staff. It's the drills that we do with our kids. My goodness, I think our kids could do some of these drills in their sleep. They know the general practice, they know the general procedure, and they could do it in any building in our district. So as we move forward, we talked earlier about the creation of the Safety and Security Committee here in the school district. It's important that the appropriate stakeholders are on that committee. That includes you, that includes all of our emergency management agencies, Unity Township, City of Latrobe, and Westmoreland County as well. Westmoreland County helped with the development of our plan, and I think they're key to our future too. That also includes the appropriate law enforcement agencies. 4 of our school buildings are in state police territory. LES is located at the City of Latrobe, so you've got to invite those people to the table too. And I think that committee will be helpful in determining not only are we doing best practice, but are we securing our facilities as best as possible. If we have an idea or a recommendation, we bring it before the committee, we discuss it, and we move forward as the committee decides. It's important to continue regular drills, fire drills, weather drills, lockdown drills within our schools so that our students know what to do and so that they can respond quickly and without panic. They need to be very calm and quiet when we do these things. And I've also started the process of walking through each of our schools to take a look at them and find ways to harden them. I did a preliminary walkthrough at Bagley with a member of the state police to look at our building. He offered a few simple suggestions about how to make our building a little more safer and a little more accessible in the event that there is an issue. I've called the state police to schedule a risk and vulnerability assessment at all 5 facilities in the school district, and they will be out to do that. Obviously, there's a long backlog of schools that want that, but we are on the schedule to do that as well. So again, what are we doing? Well, we're reinforcing a lot of the things that we've already done, and I think the committee and our regular drills will help to take us into the future. Do you have any questions for us?
I just think we need to reiterate what you said at the beginning. We've always been proactive here. We're not being reactive. We've been proactive all along, and I think that's paid off. And it's always good to relook at things and see if there's anything we can do better. But I commend you because I think we've done a really good job at looking at things ahead of time and knowing what we want to do in case there is an incident.
The emergency management agencies in our area have been a big help to us. But there's a reason that Pete's here. And I know you didn't know that I was going to say this, but I'm going to say this. He's there. When we lost water at Bagley earlier in this school year, he pulls up out front. What do you need? We're on the radio. What do you need? How can I help you? And it's a huge resource to us. And I know that you live in the district and you have a special tie to the school district, but it's what Pete does, and we are very lucky to have someone like Pete working with us.
Absolutely.
Are our sporting events like, Friday night football, is that all that's in that consideration package, right? We have planned for those kind of things.
Actually, this summer, I was having a swim party relative to Bagley Elementary at Legion Keener at the Rogers McFeely pool, and there was a threat that came into that facility, and immediately the pool manager knew what to do and evacuated us right out of it was It was a moment where you weren't sure whether it was happening or not. It was not a drill. And it was very interesting to watch how calmly they reacted to it. So yes, even in that situation, there is a plan in place to get folks out.
Our plan is all hazards. Right now, the hot button issue is the shooter, but what's to say we couldn't have 100 students get sick after lunch at one of the schools, which is just as serious problem as anything else. You know, I'm sorry. What's going to happen? But it's all hazard. It can adapt to any situation. We've probably discussed and talked about everything that we could think of that could possibly happen to us. And again, the fact that this team comes together so quickly. And just one thing that's important, I'll let you know how that operates. When a team gets together and they sit down, there are two things they need to know. There'll be a white chalkboard behind them. The first question is, what do we know? The second question is, what do we need to know? And you build from there.
Just some other resources that you have is, I shared with you a little flip chart. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this. This 2009, 2008, which every teacher has in their classroom, which really is the guide for any evacuation of any building.
It covers several different types of emergencies too, if you look down through that chart, including a medical emergency.
If you have a chance, you can look at it. Also in your packets is a little, it's an editorial from a gentleman by the name of Ken Trump, who, if you happen to look into his biography, he's been in school security for about 25 years. And it's really a very short summary, but I think, and I shared this with Mike and Pete when we met earlier, and it really does summarize very, I think, easily the thoughts that I believe are important. And the last column is, I think, the 3 points that we need to take with us today, which is obviously professional development and practice. And, Pete is always willing to come in and help coordinate that with us. He's referenced the NIMS training and all of the other things that we've done, but it really is a point that we shouldn't wait until a tragedy such as occurred a couple of months ago to really react or to think that you need to do more. It should be an ongoing piece, as well as, and number two, may be painful, but I think it's so well said in that we have to painfully acknowledge that in spite of our best efforts, some tragedies will not be prevented. And when I read that from a gentleman who's been in school security, and if you again get a chance to read his biography for 25 years, I thought, wow. But that being said, we want to do everything in our power to be prepared and to prevent as much as possible. So you can read this on your own if you have any thoughts. But I'd like to personally thank both Mike and Pete. Thank you very much for coming. Anybody have any additional questions or comments?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 1 in your packet is Dr. Teffer's enrollment report. And please look at that. If you have any questions, you can ask for next week. If something to say.
If I could just say, we are in the process of beginning to look at our enrollment for kindergarten numbers, and as far as class sizes and everything for the upcoming year, and kindergarten registration will be kicking off very soon. So that's where our mind is right now.
Okay, keep us informed.
We will.
Okay. Educational programs, Dr. Corinne.
Just a couple of real brief things. Also on your agenda for next week will be the creation of a 9th grade art elective, and it's a sculpture course. It will involve no additional staff or expense other than the creation, of course, and materials. But that will be on your agenda next week for approval. We are looking at a Title I audit. It's our cyclical review for March 5th and 6th, and we're in preparation for that audit right now as we speak. And finally, in terms of Title I, there has been no posting of our amendment to the allocation. As you know, Title I runs on a 15-month calendar in terms of a budgetary calendar, so it runs from July 1 to September 30th of the following year. And sometimes you have 2 or 3 budget years open at the same time based upon various factors. At the midway point, usually January, you either receive an upward or a downward amendment to the amount they told you that you were originally going to receive. And so we were still waiting for that amendment for Title I. And it's, as usual, running behind. So where we are with that. More to come. Hopefully, I know next week I can tell you if it's up or downward or if we remain the status quo. The next thing on the agenda is a presentation I'm very proud to introduce, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Pellis, and that is Mountain View's presentation on professional learning communities. Across our elementaries, our teachers have worked hard to develop strong professional teams that look at student data to determine our needs and determine their actions in the classroom and make informed decisions and choices. And I'm very proud of this group that is here tonight, and without any further ado, with me talking anymore, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Pellis, but I'm excited, so.
Good evening. I have a part of our kindergarten team from Mountain View as well as the second grade team from Mountain View. I've asked for the kindergarten and their second grade from Mountain View to be a part of this presentation because I do believe that they are truly using professional learning communities within their teams. And we will have a presentation. I'll come up here in a second. Kindergarten, we have Julie Teslovich and Jamie Wakoski. Second grade, we have Allison Conrad, Rosie Doling, Joe Gribben, Lynette Planey, and Jennifer Quinn. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about professional learning communities. Professional learning communities come from the work of Richard DeFore. And what is a professional learning community? There we go. Professional learning communities, it's an ongoing process in which we, the educators, work collaboratively in recurring cycles of collective inquiry and action research to achieve better results for the students that they serve. And we're going to be talking today about the second grade, how they're using it, but also kindergarten. With kindergarten, it's about the students that they currently serve, but it's also about the students that are going to be coming into our building. So you're going to be hearing about our transitional programs that are happening. So it's our preschool students, the transitional students into our kindergarten classrooms. We operate under the assumption that the key to improve learning for students is continuous job-embedded learning for educators. So a professional learning community is truly us, the professionals, working together as to how to better the education for the students that we're serving. It's about us working best for the kids. There are 3 big ideas that drive the PLCs. The first one is the purpose. Of course, the purpose of our school is to ensure that all the students are learning to high levels. It's helping all students in a collaborative effort, us working together. And then to assess our effectiveness in helping all students learn, we have to focus on those results. And what those results look like, it's data that we're using every day in our classrooms, but it's also the feedback for kindergarten that we're getting from the parents and from the community about moving the students into our kindergarten classrooms.
Of course, is why schools are in business. It's our bottom line. Schools are always looking to increase student achievement for all students, and that's where PLCs come into play. According to a recent EdWeek blog post, there is a direct relationship between the social capital of a school and student achievement. Social capital in a school is not a tangible thing. Rather, it is created from the positive and productive relationships between the teachers and other educators in a school. Increasing social capital in a school typically increases student achievement as well. PLCs address issues of student learning, effective teaching, and high expectations. They are means to creating and growing social capital in a school. According to a recent study by the Edinburgh Foundation, PLCs can enhance professional culture by helping educators build productive relationships with each other, engaging educators in learning, promoting improvement efforts, and addressing inequities in teaching and learning. In a PLC, teachers come together and work as a team to identify the content and skills that need to be taught, plan instruction, analyze student achievement data, identify areas where students are not achieving as they should be, and strategize ways to ensure that all students learn. Many educational organizations have endorsed the PLC framework, including the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, the National Council of Teachers of English, and the National Boards of Professional Teaching Standards. In addition to these endorsements, the popularity of PLCs is growing in school districts across the country. While library media specialists might not be given much thought when schools put together PLCs, library media specialists have a unique and important perspective to bring to such collaborative groups and should actively seek out opportunities to participate.
Thank you. Go on to the next slide. So that is truly what a PLC is, or a professional learning community. At Mountain View, we have PLCs, and as I said, I brought along kindergarten is going to talk first about the professional learning communities that they have together with our kindergarten team at Mountain View, but also the professional learning community that we have across the district whenever the kindergarten teachers come together as kindergarten teachers, as well as other people from our community, which kindergarten will speak about, and then also our second grade team is here to talk about their PLCs that they have at Mountain View. Kindergarten?
Right. In the kindergarten, our teachers and the administration and the preschool teachers in the community work together several times throughout the year. We have meetings, we do different events to help alter and develop different events for these incoming students, the incoming students coming into kindergarten, to offer them a smooth transition. These events throughout the course of the 7 years that I've been here, they have changed. We have added things, we've taken things away. We have enriched some of the activities that we've done. During some summer trainings that were provided by the United Way, a few teachers, administration, as well as preschool providers come and attend these events. And we feel that this is the time that we can make these improvements. We can add the things and we can change what is needed to best suit our kindergartners coming in. One of the events that we do is coming up here actually in about 2 weeks on February 25th, and it's a parent information night. It's the entire district. All the kindergarten teachers will be a part of the presentation. We work together, we inform the parents, we answer questions that they may have, and we help them to ease that anxiety of their child coming to kindergarten. Is it how they get on the bus? Is it what they'll do at lunch, what they'll do on a regular day in kindergarten? We're here to help them understand what their child will be doing come August, September, when they enter our kindergarten classrooms.
And one of the things that has changed with our parent information night, even since I came, is we realized that the parents need to know that kindergarten, it doesn't matter if you go to LES kindergarten, if you go to Mountain View kindergarten, or if you go to Bagley kindergarten, kindergarten is the same. And so we listened to what the parents had to say about which school their child should be attending, and we realized we needed one event to show that kindergarten day truly does look the same no matter what building you're in. And what we expect of the students, it doesn't matter what building you're in. So that was one of the things as our PLC grew, we were together, we were hearing this from the parents, we realized we need to change something. Instead of just the events being in our own home buildings, we need to have one meeting together so that the parents truly understand kindergarten is kindergarten at Greater Latrobe. It doesn't matter which elementary building you're in. So that is one of the things from our professional learning community that we learned, and we had to make the change.
And in addition, our preschool providers also help the parents know that these events are coming on.
Some of the other events that we do are more specific to our elementary schools. So each of the elementary schools will do the following events, but we split them in so that the students get comfortable with coming to our own building and seeing the teachers that they're going to see on a daily basis. So the next one that happens is our family story night, which comes up in March of this year. What we chose to do at Mountain View was have a pajama party for the incoming kindergartners. So this happens after school in the evenings. They are allowed to bring a little stuffed animal with them for comfort as they come for their pajama party. We've chosen to read a story to them, and then they get to come back to one of the classrooms. They have a snack in the classroom and get to meet the teachers. At this point, we don't know which teacher they'll have, so it's randomly chosen which classroom they'll attend for that activity. But they at least get to see one of the classrooms, and they all look very similar. And the parents ask some questions, and they get to kind of ease some of that anxiety again, which is part of the purpose of this transition activities. The next thing that happens is the kindergarten visitation day, which is typically the first week in May. And what happens is that preschools that are part of our transition team, we bus the preschool kids up to the elementary schools, and they get to come into our classroom with the other current kindergarten students. They get to participate in an activity in the classroom. They get to go on a tour of the building. Mrs. Pellis will speak to the parents during that time that they're in our classrooms. And again, it just helps them feel a little bit more comfortable that they know what to expect, and they know that this is what the classrooms look like. And parents that choose to bring their kids also can do that if their child attends a preschool that's not in maybe in our district or in the area that we'll bus from. The parents are allowed to also bring their kids to that as well, so it is open to anybody that's
And what we heard about this was the parents and the children wanted to see school during the school day, because we have them come in the evening. But if you've ever visited an elementary school at 5 o'clock in the evening, it looks nothing like what elementary schools look like during the school day. So we heard the parents saying they wanted the kiddos to see the school as it should, like a school. We needed them to come in during the school day when actually all the rooms are filled and all the special teachers are there, and so that they can see the actual building as it's going to look when they enter in the fall.
And finally, what we'll do before school starts in August is we provide a meet and greet, which our PTO typically will sponsor. The kids get to come together and in one area, but they wear colored shirts to match which teacher they'll have. So they actually get to meet their classmates before the start of the school year, which is nice for them, again, to sort of come together. Some of them attend preschools outside the district, so they may not know a lot of kids around, so it gives them the opportunity to meet each other and to kind of see who's going to be in their class and just have a fun evening with each other.
Usually KT was in yellow this night. Go ahead.
So we've worked together, as Julie said earlier, the kindergarten teachers, the preschool providers, and our district administration has worked together to help make the transition into kindergarten as smooth as possible. We've made a lot of changes over the years, and this professional learning community has allowed us to do that. So it's really been beneficial, I think, for our incoming kindergarten students.
Now we have second grade. In second grade, just like in kindergarten, we have professional learning communities, of course, in a bit of a different light. If you take a look at the picture, that is our second grade team during our planning, discussing some of our grade level grouping. All of us get together, and when we do get together, we have one question that we need to answer. And the question is, how does the second grade team flexibly group students to best meet their academic needs? Our flexible groups are 30 minutes in the morning. And in order to get ready for those flexible groups, what we do as a second grade team is we gather data from our Storytown benchmark tests and our theme tests. I believe we have a video to show you. One more.
After all students in the grade are placed under the appropriate level, teachers look at the amount of students that are in each group. Based on the amount of teachers who are available to instruct flexible groups, levels may be subdivided into multiple groups. The amount of students in each group varies. As you can see, the proficient group here is rather large, so this one would probably be subdivided into 2 groups. After the flexible groups have been determined, all students are instructed daily for 30 minutes at their instructional level, where differentiated materials are being used to meet their needs. Flexible groups are always adapting and changing throughout the school year based on data collected through Storytown benchmarks, Storytown theme tests, and Storytown weekly tests.
So to reiterate, we use the Storytown data. We use the benchmark and our theme tests and our weekly tests that we have available to us. Not only do we use our data, but we also use our professional judgment in order to group those students. All students are ranked and grouped with different students with the same skill level. All 5 of the 2nd grade teachers are utilized along with any available support staff. Students are not necessarily grouped with their homeroom teacher. This is important to understand that a teacher or a support staff member is given a group level, and the students, based on their skill level, go with that teacher. Again, these professional learning communities are used to help each child grow as an individual to succeed in their academic career. And again, we do this in recurring cycles. It is not something that we do once a year. It's done enough to make sure that the students, if they change in their level, we can group them accordingly. And I believe we have a more 2nd grade presentation thing.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our morning tutoring time. In the district, we've been giving Tuesdays and Thursday mornings where we pull students in who are showing academic need of some kind. In 2nd grade, we noticed that we were all remediating the same types of skills. So we sat down and talked as a team and said, well, this is kind of crazy. We have 5 teachers and we're all teaching the same thing. What is a better way we could do this? We sat down and we decided that with our groups for our morning tutoring time, we would take and we would break up our skills. Very similar to what we do for our morning groups that you just saw. Except this time we're looking at who isn't really getting what they need from us during those times or during the times that we have during the day. So we take and we look and we say, these students aren't doing exactly as well as we wanted to, so we're going to take all of these people and we're going to give them to a certain teacher. Very, very similar to what you've just seen. If you look at the picture that we have up on the board, you can see students from different homerooms are put together for different things. The activity that they're working on right there is fluency. One is reading, one is timing, and the one who is doing the timing is also listening for expression as the child is reading. Some other places that we are looking at to have in our morning groups would be math. We don't want to forget about math. We do so much for reading, but math is also an important aspect. In 2nd grade, we focus a lot on our addition and subtraction facts. That is one area, again, that we always have running as a group in the morning. Math, facts, and fluency are our 2 big groups. After that, we also look at what we're teaching at that time. So for instance, we just finished teaching money and coin counting. Students who aren't making it and not understanding exactly what we need them to be doing by counting coins, we will pull them in probably next week for one of our groups for tutoring time in the morning so that we can help them understand that skill and get the knowledge that they need from it. So this is something that we look at weekly. Sometimes they get changed, sometimes they don't. It all depends on their level and what we need to be moving towards.
Because they work together as a professional learning community, they're able to pull on their own strengths as a teacher. For example, we have Lynette, who's a reading specialist, so therefore it would make sense if there's a group of students that have some reading deficiencies, they should go to Lynette to work on that skill. Whereas we might have another teacher on a team that is very strong in money, or whatever that skill may be, and so then those students will go to that teacher. So we're able to, because they work together as a PLC, they're able to pull the students
in smart ways so that whenever they come in, not all the teachers are teaching the same exact things during that tutoring time. They're able to pull their strengths to work with the kids. So those are just a few examples of the professional learning communities that we have here within our school district. Thank you.
Student data and flexibly group across. Some are always, heads in A, stronger than others. And it's been a process. It's been a learning process. I think we've all learned and have grown through it.
I think this is a phenomenal program. And these are the kinds of things as a school board member that I really love to see. Initiative on behalf of our teachers to solve the problems that we're trying to solve in the educational process. So I really commend the PLCs and the time that you people spent over and above the regular day to put this together for our children. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I really like to see in the district. And I thank you all very much for your effort and for what you're doing. The example that you're setting for, the remainder of the district. Thank you very much.
I think the key to quality instruction anytime is allowing teachers that kind of time to get together and learn from each other and help each other. And when do you actually have time to do that? Do you do that in the mornings most of the time? Whenever you can fit it in.
During our planning periods, over lunch.
Really?
And my department a lot of time after school hours, especially when it comes to working with the preschools and doing a lot of those evening events.
See, that's exceptionally commendable. I think that you're willing to give up lunchtime and planning time and after school time and time when you really don't need to be there. So I thank you very much because I think that's really the key to quality instruction and getting kids to achieve at the highest level that they possibly can. I'm really pleased with all of that. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Thank you all for coming, taking more time of your day. But we appreciate it. Thank you. Anything else, Dr. Brennan?
I just wanted to once again thank you for their efforts and efforts like this that are happening across the district. And it truly is professional in nature.
It is. Thank you. Okay, we're finally to the second page. It's been all good stuff. We have a revision to this year's school calendar, and it's happening in May. In your packet, item number 2 gives you a picture of this year's school calendar. On May 10th, which is prom day, typically only the senior high does not have school that day, but there's not going to be school for any of the students in the district. It's going to be an Act 80 day for teacher in service, and that is because the state is mandating 3 hours of training for all teachers, and that has to do with reporting of abuse situations that they may encounter. And from my understanding, any teacher that does not have that training is not permitted to teach in the fall. I think that's true. Do you want to comment?
Sure. We do have until January 2014, but it's not just every teacher, it's every individual who is employed by the school district. So that includes secretaries, personal assistants, classroom assistants, coaches,
Bus drivers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, so we're going to do our best to have the majority of our employees trained on meat.
What is it? What kind of, what?
It's called mandated child abuse training. It's been mandated, and another unfunded mandate, I'll be honest.
but we have to do, and we have to have everybody trained in the district that is employed by the district by January 2014.
What exactly are you training?
Mandated child abuse reporting?
Child abuse reporting.
Yes.
So if you hear of anything or suspect anything, you're told to whom you should go and to whom you should report this type of thing, and you are mandated to do that. And so that will be, that calendar revision will be on your agenda next week for approval. And also next week, we will approve the Westmoreland County Student Assistance Program Agreement for the 2013-2014 school year. Anything else for education and planning this evening? Okay, I'll turn it over to finance. Mrs. Elder.
Thank you. The treasurer's report and payment of bills will be on the agenda next week, as will budgetary transfers. In your packet, item number 3 is the Finance Committee meeting minutes. And there are a couple of things I would like to highlight. That we discussed again the early retirement incentive that was granted by the board in the meeting that we had last month. It seemed longer ago. And there was some discussion about the numbers that are involved in that. I think it should be noted that although it says that Dr. Laughlin was absent, she actually came early, got a briefing, and left. So she wasn't totally absent. We talked about bid limits, and that's going to be on the policy that we'll be looking at this evening. The tax rebate program, we're going to talk more about that next week, because this is the time that families and individuals are getting together material for taxes, and this is something that is available and is not taken advantage of. And Dan found out that what happens is once you take advantage of it, you get the packet automatically every year. But if your financial situation changes, you don't get the packet unless you know to ask for it. So we're going to highlight that. The change order for the athletic complex was discussed, and we'll hear more about that later. And there was no new information on the budget, so we didn't have anything much to say about that. And the next meeting will be March 6th at the Union Building at 10 a.m. We will have on our agenda next week the acceptance of gifts, grants, and donations. And once again, it's very heartening to see what happens in this school district, particularly with the McFeely Rogers Foundation, but also with individuals, the wrestling groups who put together a donation to give the new map. And that's we're very grateful for those things. So that's my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Elder. Property and supply, Mrs. Kozar.
Yes, first of all, we're going to begin with project update. Hey, Anchor.
Good evening. Just a few things I want to highlight in your package that was provided to you. We continue to meet every other week or so with the owner, you guys, the architect and myself, with the project team, construction teams, to go over all issues. Shop drawings are being received through Access Architecture as far as your structural steel, your concrete, so we're getting ahead of that, getting all some work taken care of. The big thing right now is site contractor. With the weather we've had, we're roughly 6 weeks into the project, and we've had everything from 7-degree weather days to -7-degree weather days. We're ahead of schedule. It's been rough at times. Custom contractors doing an excellent job. They're attacking things they can with the weather permitting. If they can't do one thing because of weather, they're jumping on other things within the project to take care of things that aren't on the schedule at this point, but for a later date, moving those up since the weather permits that. toting line access pad. This is north of your football field. We ran into some unforeseen soil conditions that we had to remediate to allow West Penn access to move your toting line to this relocation area. That number came to $24,693.98. So we asked for your approval on that change order to approve that work.
With that change order, as we do, whether there's a change order or not, we're always looking for ways to offset change orders and save some money. And there does seem to be a substantial amount of excess topsoil on this site. So that is one of the things that we'll be looking into, to see if we can perhaps sell that topsoil to offset these costs.
I also note too that initial number was about $48,000, so there was some negotiating on our end with the contractor to make that a reasonable number for the work that's done. And lastly, as far as I said, we're ahead of schedule. All prime contractors have submitted their clearances for contractors to be on site. Safety is very important to us as well as a project team, construction team. So that's being taken care of. Last thing in the report you saw, the exchange order information, backup information is there as well. So if there's any additional questions in regard to that, I can answer, and you can answer. But things are proceeding very well. It's, like I said, it's early, it's 6 weeks, but things are weather-wise this winter has been very positive. I've also added Mr. Palmer with a drawdown schedule monthly budgeting for Mr. Watson, kind of foresee what payouts would be each month, so that's within your package as well. Other than that, I have nothing else today.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
And as for the water treatment service, I have to admit, I could make the meeting this week. So Ben's not here, so I'm going to pass it to someone else who is up.
Sure, I can address that. Historically, we've had water treatment done occasionally. What we'd like to recommend is have it on a regular scheduled basis every month. And what's listed in the packet is to approve GLA water consultants. It would be $410 a month. It would be a 3-year agreement.
Is this just the flush lines?
Yes.
And the meeting, minutes from the previous meeting are items number 5.
Yeah, is that all buildings?
If that is all buildings, that is, yes.
Which test for which areas?
Which I do not have the answer for that.
That's part of this though.
That's what I was wondering, is it in that?
When you're flushing the, whatever they're using to get it through the line, so on and so forth, and they come back with the test results, something like that. That's part of
So
it.
it's in that test?
You should verify that.
I'll
Ken should
confirm
verify
with
that.
Ken. I don't know these
Seems like a
exact.
high pressure issue with big water supplies.
I'll follow up with Ken and I'll ask him to address it next Tuesday's meeting.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Mrs. Minister. Dr. Laughlin, student activities and recreation.
Next week, an agenda item approved the fall club, although I thought we already approved it.
Fall club was not included at that time. The fall club has been in existence. But if you recall, a couple months ago, we approved all of the clubs at high school. This one was missing.
It was a recommendation of our local auditors. We would give approve our student clubs every single year. So it was the first year we've done this. We did, I believe, in October, but the office local auditors listed that.
Okay.
Basketball playoffs have been announced. The boys will be playing Newcastle next Wednesday at a site and time to be determined, and the girls will be playing Baldwin Friday and Trafford at a time.
I do have to say, I went to the last few basketball games, and they were great events. I mean, the staff, the AD, the administration was there. We had a large crowd Friday night for the Enfield game. It was smooth as silk. Everybody had fun there. I mean, it was a great event. Just a wonderful, wonderful event. It was a great game. think they got robbed, but I think it was the event itself just went off without a hitch.
And I really
thank you.
enjoyed the game where the band came too. I thought
Yeah.
it really made it very festive.
Good job. I think with the dad and the kids and just the whole thing was just a great event. Last few of them have been just wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Walker. Community Relations, Dr. Zork.
You find in your packet the annual report from the Treasury and Parks and Recreation, and also the minutes.
Westmoreland Intermediate Unit, there will be a resolution on your agenda next week to authorize participation in the WIU Joint Purchasing Consortium for the next school year, 2013-2014, for the multi-purpose paper. That's pretty much an annual item. The summary of the WIU board meeting, which was held 1/22/13, is item number 7 in your packet. I was unable to attend that meeting because that was our meeting here, but the minutes are there. Let's see, select a candidate for the 2013 election of WIU board members for term commencing April 6, 2013 and ending April 5th, 2016 is item number 8. I have to admit, I didn't read this one.
You work currently the representative.
Yes.
And your term expires April 6th.
I see. Okay.
So we have to appoint someone, whether that be you or another board member.
Okay. So that's all of that.
That's all that is.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so we need to put that on the agenda then probably for. Anybody else want that? Yeah, I assume that will be me. So, we'll do that in March, I guess, or next week? Next week. Okay, so that will be on your agenda. Okay. That ends my report on the intermediate unit, and we'll go to Mrs. Kosar for EWCTC Joint Operating Committee.
Yeah, this summary of our meeting, January 23rd meeting is item number 9.
Thank you. And roll call to see for PSB liaison, Mrs. Elder.
Yes, there's 3 items relating to board policy. The first is the final reading, and the second is the first reading of the commercial advertising on school property, and it's in your packet. They're both in your packet, item 10, 11, and then item number 12, the organizational chart. So those will all be on the agenda next week. And regarding PSBA liaison, the breakfast meeting for the legislative group, which has always been very well attended. We've had trouble with scheduling a couple times recently where we have a school district meeting scheduled, but we don't have such a meeting for the 23rd, Saturday, February 23rd at 8:30 in the morning. It's usually well over by noon, if not before. So if you want to make a reservation for that, please get in touch with Mrs. Lazier as soon as possible, because that's coming up. And it should be a good meeting. There are issues that we've all talked about, what we would be talking to our legislators about in this small group. And it's always interesting to see with all the diverse numbers of students, et cetera, of districts in the county and what they all come up with and how much alike we all sound. It's a good thing to go to. I'm planning to go, and I encourage you all to take a Saturday and do it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Elder. Transportation, Dr. Monta.
Thank you. Transportation meeting, 2 times a month now. We have a meeting tomorrow, 3 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Maines. We had our technology meeting today, 6 p.m. Meeting minutes will follow for next week's meeting. Meeting will be back. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's recommendations, Mrs. Spiker.
Next week, I'd ask the board to accept the resignation of Ashley Heppel, the junior high school cheerleading coach. We will have a list of additional substitutes to be approved to serve for the district for the remainder of the year. We also would recommend positions, the 3 assistant track coaches, a food service truck driver, and substitute custodial workers as well as next week we'd like to add Ron Owens as a driver education on the road instructor for 2012-13 as an additional instructor for that program. Other business, your statement of financial interests are in your packets. Please return those to Connie, to Mrs. Laser as soon as possible. The Breakfast of Champions is February 21st at 7:30 at the high school. And the tickets, most importantly, for the musical The Wizard of Oz, those are the dates that it's being shown: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And from what I hear, the buzz is the tickets are going quickly and they're going to be sold out. So I'd suggest that if you want to attend, let Mrs. Laser know tonight what night, how many tickets, and so on, so we can get those for everyone. And those people in the audience and the newspaper reporters might want to write that they should call to get their tickets